Hi all. In this video, we would be learning about the rates of TDS, that is tax deduction at source, which would be very helpful for CA, CMA and CS students as well as for business people who intended to deduct the TDS. So in this video, I have brought a summary of all the sections together along with the limits and the rates and the section numbers. So this would be really helpful to every one of you. Let me quickly share the screen of all those. So this is the summary of sections, what we have. So let us quickly start off with the understanding of what are the sections. So here, first section is section 192, which talks about TDS on salaries. Every employer, when he is paying salary to his employee, must deduct TDS if the amount of salary exceeds the basic exemption limit, and the TDS has to be deducted at a normal slab rate basis. Similarly, section 192A, which talks about TDS on premature withdrawal from RPF. So if an employee who has joined the employment and he has withdrawn the the proceeds from the recognized provident fund within 5 years, of his service, that is called as premature withdrawal, and the provident fund office will definitely deduct TDS if the amount exceeds 50,000, and at the rate of 10% they will deduct the TDS. Similarly, section 193 talks about TDS on interest on securities, wherein if the interest on company deposit or interest on fixed deposit exceed rupees 10,000, they will be deducting TDS at the rate of 10%. Similarly, the next one, TDS on dividends paid by only Indian company, because foreign companies are not bound by the Indian laws. Hence, dividends paid by Indian companies will be liable to TDS if the amount of dividend exceeds 5,000, and the rate will be 10%. Similarly, section 194A, you have TDS on interest other than interest on security. No, such the interest on other than interest on security will be liable to TDS if the amount exceeds 5,000 and the rate will be 10%. Then comes your next three sections. Next three sections are purely your casual income sections. Like 194B, 194BA is the new section which has been added with effect from assessment year 2024-25. Then 194BB. Section 194B and 194BB, the limit for deduction of TDS is same, that is 10,000 rupees. Whereas for section 194BA, which is the newly inserted section, and the same I am highlighting on the screen, that is talking about TDS on online gaming, there is no limit for TDS. The rate will be 30%. And in 194B and 194BB also, the rate will be 30%. Then comes your section 194C, TDS on contractual payments. Nothing but this includes payment for works contract and all. So if you are making any payment to works contract, then the payer has to make the payment if the amount single payment exceeds 30,000 rupees and the aggregate amount exceeds 1 lakh rupees. And the rate of TDS will be 1% in case the recipient is a individual or HUF. And if the recipient is a any other person, then the rate of TDS will be 2%. That is what has been highlighted here. Then comes your next section, section 194D, which talks about TDS on insurance commission. So any insurance company paying commission to its insurance agent, they have to deduct TDS at the rate of 5% if the amount exceeds 15,000 rupees. Then comes 194DA, this talking about TDS on maturity of LIC policy. So in case of LIC policy, if the maturity proceeds are not exempt under section 10 subsection 10D only, TDS will be applicable if the amount exceeds 1 lakh and the rate will be 5%. So in case the maturity proceeds of LIC are exempted from tax under 10 subsection 10D, they will be completely exempted. That means what? There will be no need to deduct any TDS. Then section 194E talks about TDS on payment to non-resident sports person or an entertainer. So here in this section, all the non-resident sports person, like in case of IPL, many foreigners come and play in India. Similarly, many cheer girls, cheer boys, many music people start performing live performances. So all those people who receive payment from India or from a resident in India, they have to undergo TDS. So the payer who is paying them the money will deduct the TDS at the rate of 20% plus 4% of health education cess, which will come to 20.8%. Then comes your section 194 EE, TDS on National Savings Scheme. So this amount will be paid by, that is the maturity proceeds on this National Savings Scheme will be paid by the post office people. They will deduct the TDS if the amount of payment exceeds 2,500 and the rate will be 10%. Then comes your section 194F, TDS on repurchase of mutual fund units. So a company which has allotted mutual funds to the unit holders, when it repurchases back, it is just like buyback of the shares. But this is not shares, this is a mutual fund unit. So that company will be required to deduct TDS if the rate, if the amount is being bought back or the units are being bought back from the unit holder without any limit, they have to deduct TDS at the rate of 20%. Then comes your 194G, TDS on sale of or commission of lottery tickets, sale or commission on sale of lottery tickets also you can call. So if a person is selling the lottery ticket and he receives some commission from the company which operates the lottery tickets, then if the amount exceeds 15,000, they have to deduct TDS at the rate of 5%. Then comes your section 194H, TDS on any other commission, that is other than insurance commission, other than commission on sale of lottery tickets. What could be a commission? Like for example, a air travel airline company paying the commission to air travel agent for booking the tickets on behalf of airlines. Hence, such kind of commissions will be covered under 194H. And again, the amount of deduction will be, that is the limit for deduction of TDS will be 15,000 and the rate will be 5%. Then similarly, 194I talks about TDS on rent of land and building, furniture, plant and machinery. Now, please understand this land and building does not cover residential land and building. It is only a commercial land and building. So if the amount of rent exceeds 2,40,000, they will deduct TDS at the rate of 10% in case of land and building and furniture, whereas in case of plant and machinery, they will deduct only 2%. You have to be careful with this. Then section 194IA, the most trending section now, sale TDS on sale of immovable property. Every person is trying to now buy a new apartment or new house and all, because that is their dream to have a own house. Such people who buy the house with a cost price of more than 50 lakhs, they have to deduct TDS at the rate of 1%. This is a mandatory rule without which they cannot go for registration of the house. Then comes your next section, section 194 IB, which talks about TDS on rent of residential dwelling. Now 194 IA was talking about commercial. This is talking about residential. Now here the limit is, if the monthly rent, please observe this one. The limit 50,000 is not annual. It is monthly rent. If it exceeds 50,000, then the rate of TDS will be 5%. Then comes your section 194 IC, TDS on specified agreements. Specified agreements, or you can also call them as joint development agreements. Generally, we have section 45 subsection 5A in income from capital gains, which deals with the same concept. So if a person is making any payment on specified agreements, that is joint development agreements, without any limit, TDS has to be deducted at the rate of 10%. Then comes your 194J. This is talking about TDS on payments made to professionals like chartered accountants, cost accountants, company secretaries, doctors, engineers, architects. All these people, advocates, all these people will come under this category. But this section 194G not only covers TDS on professional payments, but also covers royalty and fees for technical services. So in this section, if the payment exceeds 30,000 individually means for professional 30,000 separately, for royalty separately 30,000, and for fees for technical services, you have to check 30,000 separately. If that exceeds 30,000 individually, then TDS has to be deducted at the rate of 10%. In case you are into the business of operation of call center, that is also your profession, right? But rate of TDS will be only 2%. You have to keep that point in your mind. Then comes your 194K, TDS on income on units of mutual fund. So if any mutual fund or any company is paying you any income from that mutual fund, then in excess of 5,000, then they have to deduct TDS at the rate of 10%. Then comes your 194 LA, TDS on compulsory acquisition of land and building. A land and building which has been compulsorily acquired will undergo TDS if the amount of payment exceeds 2,50,000 and the rate will be here 10%. Then 194M, this is the newly inserted section, of course, from assessment year 22-23 itself. This is talking about TDS on, again, contract, professional payment and commission as well as brokerage. So any payments which are not covered under section 194C, 194J, 194H will be covered under this section 194M, wherein the limit will be 50 lakhs and the rate will be 5%. Then 194N, very important nowadays, TDS on cash withdrawal. If at all you are withdrawing any cash from a bank, then in excess of rupees 1 crore, when I say from a bank, it is from current account, exceeding 1 crore, then the bankers will deduct TDS at the rate of 2%. Then comes your 194O, again a trending section because nowadays many people are buying and selling goods through e-commerce portals like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, etc., etc. There, if any payment is made by the e-commerce operator to those agents without any limit, they will deduct directly 1%. Then comes 194P. This is again a newly inserted section. TDS on payments made by specified bank only to senior citizens. This deduction is purely only for payments made to senior citizens without any limit. The banks will deduct TDS at the rates which are applicable to the respective bank. This is a newly inserted section, of course, which needs some more clarity. Then section 194Q, TDS on purchase of goods. Now this is a parallel section to section 206C, subsection 1H in TCS. So the law says here the buyer of the goods, if he buys goods above 50 lakhs, then he has to deduct TDS at the rate of 0.1%. But one condition is the turnover of the buyer should exceed 10 crore. Otherwise, this TDS section will not be applicable. Then comes your 194R, TDS on perquisites in respect of business or profession. Again, very important section nowadays. If any person is paying any perquisite in respect of business or profession, like for example, a company is paying to its distributors or giving some freebies to its distributors like Malaysia trip, Singapore trip, etc., etc., those all will be covered under TDS on perquisites in respect of business or profession, and the rate of the limit for deducting TDS will be 20,000 and the rate will be 10%. And coming to the last section, that is the 30th section, section 194S, TDS on transfer of virtual digital assets, like nothing but crypto coins, bitcoins, all these things are covered under this category, virtual digital asset. And the limit for TDS is 10,000 and the rate will be 1%. Hope this video was completely useful for you, and this video will definitely help you to go through and revise your TDS rates, and for business person it might act as a quick reckoner also. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much.